It was a lazy Sunday afternoon, the kind where the sun spills through the windows and you're half dozing on the couch, lulled by the quiet hum of suburbia. That peace shattered when my doorbell started chiming like a possessed alarm clock. At first, I figured it was just a delivery guy in a rush, but the ringing didn't stop. It looped, relentless, each chime drilling into my skull. Then came the pounding, fists slamming against my front door, hard enough to make the walls quiver. I bolted upright, heart racing, and grabbed my phone to check the security camera app. There she was, Patricia Hensley, our HOA president, though everyone in the neighborhood whispered Karen when her back was turned. Her face was a mask of fury, eyes blazing, her pristine auburn bob bouncing as she hammered my door. "Open up right now," she screamed, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "I know you're in there. Your VY Sias beast has wrecked my house." I groaned, dragging myself to the door, bracing for whatever madness was about to unfold. The moment I cracked it open, Patricia didn't even let me get a word in. "Your cat is a menace," she shrieked, VYing her phone in my face. The screen showed close-ups of faint scratches on her VYNYL siding, barely noticeable. "Look at this. Your monster caused thousands in damage, and I'm holding you responsible." I blinked, stunned. My 7-pound tabby, Whiskers, was supposedly the culprit? The idea was so absurd I nearly laughed, but the venom in Patricia's eyes told me she wasn't joking. She pressed the doorbell again, holding it for a solid 10 seconds, the shrill chime echoing like a battle cry. Little did I know, this wasn't just a neighborly spat. It was about to spiral into a scene straight out of a crime drama, complete with police sirens and handcuffs. Patricia Hensley had been the neighborhood's self-appointed dictator ever since she snagged the HOA presidency 3 years ago. Our once friendly cul-de-sac had morphed into her personal fiefdom, with her wielding the HOA rulebook like a sledgehammer. She'd slap fines on people for everything unapproved: mailbox flags, lawns a fraction too long, even a kid's chalk drawing on a driveway. A retired insurance agent with too much time on her hands, Patricia prowled the streets in her silver BMW, clipboard at the ready, sniffing out infractions like a bloodhound. Whiskers, my laid-back tabby, had become her latest obsession. About a month ago, he'd started wandering into her pristine flower beds, napping among her petunias. To me, he was just a cat doing cat things, lounging on my porch, chasing sunbeams. To Patricia, he was public enemy number one. I'd already gotten 3 violation notices about uncontrolled pets, despite the HOA rules saying nothing about outdoor cats. When I brought this up at the last meeting, Patricia's face had turned a shade of red I didn't think humanly possible. Now, standing on my porch, she was in full attack mode. "These aren't just scratches," she snapped, scrolling through more blurry photos. "This is willful destruction. My contractor says it's due lot 3,000 in damages." She waved a crumpled note, supposedly from her handyman, like it was a court order. "Pay up by Friday, or I'm suing you and that feral creature." I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Patricia, Whiskers, weighs 7 pounds and sleeps most of the day. I doubt he could scratch up your siding like that. Maybe it was the storm last week, branches, or something. Her eyes narrowed to slits. "Are you calling me a liar?" she hissed, jabbing the doorbell again with each word, the chimes punctuating her rage. A few neighbors had started to gather across the street, drawn by the commotion. Patricia noticed them and saw her chance to grandstand. "Everyone needs to see what happens when you don't control your animals," she bellowed, her voice carrying like a megaphone. "Property values will tank. Crime will skyrocket. This is how neighborhoods fall apart." My neighbor Jake, a quiet guy who lived opposite, had his phone out, clearly recording. Patricia spotted him and whirled around. "Delete that now. Filming without permission, VY-OLATs, HOA rules." That was a lie. She made up rules on the fly to suit her whims. I'd had enough of her doorbell terrorism and theatrics. "Patricia, you need to leave," I said firmly. "This is done. Send me a formal complaint through the HOA if you want." Her face froze, her lips tightening into a thin, dangerous line. Then, in a chillingly calm voice, she said, "Fine. But first, I'm documenting that beast's whereabouts." Before I could react, she stormed off my porch and marched toward my side yard. My stomach dropped as I watched on the security feed she unlatched my gate and barged into my backyard without permission. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, my hands shaking. "I need police now," I told the dispatcher. "A woman's trespassing on my property and threatening my cat." As I gave my address, I kept one eye on the camera. Patricia was stalking around my yard, peering under bushes, poking behind my shed. Then I saw Whiskers, my sweet tabby, basking on the patio furniture. He spotted her and arched his back, clearly spooked by this stranger invading his space. "There you are, you little vandal," Patricia shouted, snatching a broom I'd left by the house. "I'm catching you for EVY Denke." She advanced, while VYing the broom like a weapon. Whiskers, terrified, bolted under the deck. Patricia dropped to her knees, jabbing the broom under the boards, screaming about rabies and disease. I ran outside, still on with 911, and yelled, "You're trespassing. The police are coming. Stop it." She didn't even flinch. "I'm conducting an official HOA investigation," she screeched, snapping the broom head off in her frenzy to get at Whiskers. My cat's frightened meows from under the deck broke my heart and lit a fire in my chest. In the distance, I heard sirens' sweet relief. Neighbors were now lined up along my property, gawking as Patricia, our middle-aged HOA tyrant, crawled through the dirt, her khaki capris stained, her perfect hair a sweaty mess. She was still poking the broken broom handle under the deck, ranting about VY-size animals and property values. 2 cops pulled up just as she cornered Whiskers against the deck's edge. Her face was beet red, sweat dripping, her voice a wild mix of fury and desperation. "Ma'am, step away from the animal," one officer called, his tone firm but calm. Patricia spun around, brandishing the splintered broom handle like a sword. "I'm conducting HOA business," she snapped. "This man's cat attacked my house." The older cop approached slowly. "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property. HOA or not, you don't have the right to be here. Come talk to us." Neighbors started showing the officers their phone footage Patricia's doorbell assault, her gate crashing, her broom-wielding cat chase. The EVY Denke was a slam dunk. "That cat's the criminal," Patricia wailed as the cops guided her to the front yard. "I'm the HOA president. I can inspect any property." The younger officer shook his head. "Ma'am, that doesn't give you legal authority to trespass or harass a pet. Based on this EVY Denke and witness statements, you're under arrest for trespassing, destruction of property, and animal harassment." Patricia's face crumpled, shock replacing rage. "Arrested? This is outrageous. I'm protecting our community." As the officer read her Miranda rights, she kept ranting. "You'll regret this. I know the mayor. That cat should be in cuffs." The whole block watched, stunned, as Patricia Hensley, still screeching about her authority and my criminal cat, was led to the cruiser in handcuffs. Jake approached me later, holding Whiskers, who'd finally crept out from under the deck, trembling but unharmed. 2 days later, the HOA board sent me a letter. They'd held an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to boot Patricia as president. They apologized profusely, saying her actions weren't endorsed. Patricia faced charges: criminal trespassing, property damage, animal cruelty with fines overdue law $5,000 and up to 6 months in jail, especially since other neighbors had filed complaints about her reign of terror. I heard through the grape VYNE that when Patricia learned this at her bail hearing, she collapsed into her chair, speechless for maybe the first time ever. The judge slapped a restraining order on her, barring her from coming within 100 feet of me or Whiskers. Since her house was right across from mine, she couldn't even go home. Her tyranny ended not with a vote or a petition, but with a pair of handcuffs and a court date. Whiskers? He's back to napping in the sun, king of the porch, while the neighborhood breathes a little easier, free from Patricia's clipboard and her made-up rules.